First of all, let's sign in with Sage Accounting. I'll select my region to be United Kingdom. I need to create a new connection to a new Sage company. I'll choose the company I wish to connect to. Data started to flow through from Sage, indicating the company name and the year to start. I actually want to go back before then, so I'm going to choose January 20 to December 20. The other settings I can change later. I'll accept them as they are and then just choose to create a new company. Let's continue working through the rest of the setup wizard. I don't need to add any further depreciation rules, so I'll accept and move on. I can create some further asset groups. I don't need to. I've got the two there which I need, so I'll just put some default depreciation rules in. Save those asset groups. And now I need to match those asset groups to my nominal categories back into Sage. If I want to have separate accounts that track my additions and disposals, I can do, and I might have a different account that holds all of the accumulated balances, and that will be the ones I'm going to match at the year end. So I do want to use separate accounts for my additions to my accumulated balances and separate accounts for my depreciation movements in the year. So I'm actually going to get nettTracker to create brand new accounts, leaving the new fixed asset account. I already do have an account in here for depreciation, so I'm going to put those profit and loss codes in for those two. So I'll accept the ones that are already there. I'll click next. I want to have brand new accounts for my disposal movements for the cost and the depreciation, and two new categories for my gains and losses on disposals, so I'll move on. And then the accounts that will hold my accumulated balances already exist, so I'll accept those that are in place, so my cost and my depreciation for both computer and motor vehicles. Finish and save. So that's now mapping my asset groups to the nominal categories back into Sage. Which takes a second or two while that gets completed. All completed, so I'll now head over to the dashboard. I can see the value per my Sage balance sheet. I've not actually added any assets in yet, so my nettTracker book value is 0. Where nettTracker was required to create new chart of account codes back in Sage, it will do so within the required range. We can edit these easily. I've edited the account numbers and descriptions in Sage. Back in nettTracker, if I choose to manage the account mappings, any account numbers we've used before will be automatically replaced. If I check my settings, my asset groups and mappings, I can check all of the numbers and how they map to our asset groups. We currently don't have any assets on our asset register, so I'm going to import some using the template I've already prepared. Only 3 assets imported. If I do check my dashboard now, I should see that the value of my asset register agrees to the value of assets on my balance sheet back in Sage. If I create transactions in Sage to purchase new assets, nettTracker will detect those. Let's see how that works. In Sage, I've created a purchase invoice using the chart of account category that I've mapped in nettTracker for additions. Back in nettTracker, the dashboard is displaying that I have transactions that need to be reviewed. From here, I can choose to review that transaction that's in pending and create the asset. I can make changes if necessary, but if everything is correct, I'll simply click OK and add that asset to the register. If I take a look at my assets, there is the Surface Book laptop which has just been purchased and showing as an addition within the current year. On my dashboard, I've currently got a difference between the nettTracker book value and the external book value, the balance sheet on Sage. That is because the date used to detect the balance sheet on Sage is at the next processing date, which here is the 31st of January. That asset was dated March, so it's not actually been brought in on the balance sheet. What I want to do is process the depreciation, and I'm going to process the depreciation until the 31st of May. The depreciation has been processed for those 5 months. The external book value, the balance sheet value on Sage, now agrees with the nettTracker book value, the total value of assets on our asset register. Taking a quick look at the balance sheet in Sage, in this example we are using separate accounts to monitor all of the different movements in the year, but that is not mandatory. Journals will be automatically processed for all of the individual months. This results in consistent reporting within your profit and loss. We've added another purchase invoice in Sage, this time with 2 separate lines. The separate lines on a supplier purchase invoice will appear as 2 separate asset entries that we can add to the asset register. Let's see what happens if we change the original purchase invoice. I'll change the value from 1200 to 1500 for the printer. In nettTracker, I can see that the balances no longer agree. If I look at my asset register, the asset that's been changed has been highlighted, reflecting it's been modified in some way. I need to look at my transactions to review, indicating it's modified. I can choose to update the asset. Any prior depreciation, if posted, will be reversed. I should now be able to look back at my asset register, reflecting the increased value of £1,500. And if I come back to my dashboard, the nettTracker book value and external book value from Sage are in line as they should be. Let's dispose of this Apple Mac. I'll choose the option to dispose and put a disposal date in, which I'm going to choose to be November. I'll enter some sale proceeds of £2,500. This will not create a sales invoice that will need to be done back in Sage, but this is just for our reporting purposes within our asset register. If I wish to reverse depreciation, I can do, but I'm going to leave that in place. The asset is marked as disposed, appears green towards the bottom of my asset register. We can see by taking a look at the balance sheet back in Sage how the disposals have been accounted for. We are using separate accounts for disposals in this example. When creating a disposal, all of the necessary journal entries are made for us between the balance sheet and gains and losses on disposals in the profit and loss. All of the depreciation has been processed for this current financial year. Just a quick check and I can make sure the nettTracker book value and external book value, the balance sheet from Sage, are in line. And now what I want to do is run my year end using the View Year End option. If I wish, I can use the adjustment option to increase or decrease depreciation to date, which will amend my end of year net book value. I don't need to make any changes here, so I will choose to complete my end of year. I am using separate accounts to hold the accumulated balances, so this will create some journals to adjust my movements for the year. So I will complete my year-end process. I now have a brand new depreciation forecast for my new financial year. I can download that at any time to assist with forecasting. If I look at my balance sheet at the end of my financial year back in Sage, we can see we've got all of the fixed asset accounts that show the movements as well as the accumulated balances. If we take a look at the balance sheet at the first day of the new financial year, we can see it just shows the accumulated balances because nettTracker has moved all the movements from the prior year into the accounts that only hold the accumulated totals. We can download our fixed asset register at any time, and we can also choose to look at prior years. Company settings allow for full automation, so enable automatic monthly journal postings for your depreciation. nettTracker can detect new asset purchases by refreshing transactions frequently. With those new transactions detected, allow nettTracker to automatically create those new assets and add them to your fixed asset register. If you've made a few mistakes getting set up, request deletion and you can simply start over. If you do find yourself needing a bit of help, please visit the Help Centre. Use nettTracker with Sage Accounting and make fixed assets easy, very easy.